Coming up on A SkinDepth Convo.
It's something that's very versatile, but I would say as a scientist who teaches how to formulate them, they are really challenging a lot of times to create and keep stable because the ingredients, like I said, oil and water don't mix. So if we do a good job, we can keep them together for a while, but eventually they want to come apart.
Split.
So there's a lot of science going into how to stabilize, how to create.
This is a show focused on educating and inspiring all those in the skincare and beauty industry. But it is also a show for those looking to improve themselves from the inside out. In each episode, we explore the latest trends, breakthrough technologies, and get expert insights within the dynamic world of skincare and beauty. If you're looking to further your beauty education and nurture your passion, you're in the right place. Renowned experts and hosts Metaxia and Francine aim to educate and inspire through their own experiences and are dedicated to enlightening and empowering enthusiasts and professionals in the realm of skincare and beauty. Join the conversation and the fun with A SkinDepth Convo. Welcome to A SkinDepth Convo. I'm Anna Kagarakis. Now today is part one of a special two-part episode where first we'll dive deep into one of the most essential but often overlooked parts of skincare science, emulsions. Then on part two, we'll go into the chemistry side of sunscreen and SPFs. We'll be joined by someone who truly lives and breathes cosmetic science, Dr. Gabriella Baki. She's an associate professor at the University of Toledo's College of Pharmacy and Pharmaceutical Sciences and the program director of their groundbreaking cosmetic science and formulation design major. She teaches both undergraduate and online master's students and leads research focused on topical ingredient delivery, sun protection, and the sensory side of skincare products. Dr. Baki is also a nationally recognized speaker and author with over 45 technical presentations, 55 publications, and a must-read textbook, Introduction to Cosmetic Formulation and Technology. And today we'll talk about the role emulsions play in making skincare products effective and enjoyable to use, and to find out more about her book. So whether you're a skincare pro or just a curious consumer, this is an episode you do not want to miss. And we'll bring in Dr. Baki in just a bit. But first, let's welcome in our expert hosts, part of the founders of Lyra Clinical, Metaxia and Francine Kagarakis. Hello, ladies. First off, before we get started, why is it important to understand emulsions? And why did you actually want to bring in Dr. Baki on the show?
I have to say that, we're constantly learning more every day. I mean, we talk to chemists from all over the world, but it's always good to understand that the more we learn, the better we are. Just because we have a formulation that is working and we're selling a top seller for us, but there's always more that we could offer to the consumers and to the professionals. And Dr. Baki brings such a wealth of information to all of us. And it's just really nice to be able to share this with all of our consumers and our accounts and representatives. It's just nice to continue to grow in this industry. So we're excited. We're just really excited to have this opportunity.
No, I agree with you, Metaxia. And Anna, it is important for everyone to understand what the universities are teaching, to understand even the beginning parts of skincare, the formulations, how they begin, where they start. So this is where it begins, and then you continue the journey. And this journey goes on forever and ever because there's so many new breakthroughs in science and in skincare. But it's great to understand the base of skincare. And Dr. Baki is going to bring that to us today. And even the word emulsion, to understand how an emulsion is put together and the importance of an emulsion in a base and how it works. So it is wonderful to have her on and to be able to explain this.
And real quick, I wanted to say that she came into this position without a curriculum. She actually put the curriculum together. There's a need for us to expand our knowledge into cosmetic chemistry. And so for her to be groundbreaking into a curriculum to the actual college level and to the master's program, it's just great to actually share that with our aesthetic industry.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see what she's done and how she's changed the industry just by helping students understand it better and helping them understand cosmetic chemistry. And you're right, she did build this program. We're going to learn about it more when we bring Dr. Gabriella Baki right after this word from Lyra Clinical.
This podcast is brought to you by Lyra Clinical and the award-winning Mystique Illuminating Beauty Oil. Mystique Beauty Oil's amazing skin-friendly hydration delivers potent antioxidants and anti-inflammatories with Lyra Clinical's exclusive Mass Tech brightening technology. This luxury oil blend is infused with vitamin C for a clean, dry finish on the skin. Use by itself or add to your favorite hydrator. Beauty oil delivers your glow and go look. Contact your local Lyra retailer for additional information at lyraclinical.com.
Joining us now to share her expertise in cosmetic science and formulation, let's welcome in Dr. Gabriella Baki to the show. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Baki.
Thank you for having me.
We're
really
excited.
excited.
We're so excited. Oh my God, we're so excited that you're going to share your knowledge with us and Lyra, our followers. So thank you so much. I mean, it's such a great opportunity to have this time with you.
We've been looking forward to this,
Yeah.
and your resume is quite
Wow.
impressive. So we are very, very excited to ask a few questions right now that I think everybody would be excited to hear.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You do have a very, very impressive background. I'm excited to learn more about your book. We'll get into that a little more later. But first, let's get to know you. You know, you've had a wide-ranging career in cosmetic chemistry. So what first drew you to this field?
So first of all, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here and honored to be here. So like you said, currently I'm an associate professor teaching at the University of Toledo. And by training, I'm a pharmacist. So I was always intrigued by mixing products and helping people out there with whatever issues they had going on. And so when I went to pharmacy school, I realized that I'm more interested in the hands-on creation part of medications and actually filling prescriptions. So then I continued my education. I got a PhD in pharmaceutics, which is the science of how you make medications. And then during my PhD program, I have both of my degrees from Hungary. And during my PhD program, I got the opportunity to come to the United States for a 10-week exchange program. And so I came to Toledo. I did some research here, went back, finished up my degrees. And then it just happened that I had the opportunity to come back. And then during that time, I was offered a position here. They were just starting their undergraduate cosmetic science degree, which was the first in the nation, the only at the time in the United States. So I started working on courses we were going to teach, including lectures and labs. And so like I said, I really was interested in pharmacy from probably as around age 7, and it just kind of kept going. I think it shifted directions and really focused on skincare science mostly. I teach pretty much everything from hair care to oral care to makeup to skincare as it is. All of those are included in personal care cosmetics today, but I'm most focused on in my research and interest in skincare.
I have a question from 7 years old. So what happened at 7? Were you going and digging into mom's skincare?
So in Hungary, pharmacies look more like independent pharmacies in the United States. So you step in and it's really just medications. And the uniform in Hungary is white. And everything as you step in is marble and white and glass. And we make a lot of contemporaneous medications, which means that sort of what compounding pharmacies do here. Pharmacies used to do a lot more of those in Hungary. So when you have a special prescription from the pharmacist for a skin cream, for a shampoo, for a foot powder, something like that, we would make that in the back of the pharmacy. But that means we have all the ingredients in the back of the pharmacy. So when you step in, you can smell peppermint oil. You can smell all those compounds that have a great smell. So I was going to a pharmacy with my mom and I stepped in and I looked around and I'm like, wow, this looks so great. It smells so good. This is what I want to do. And they could not change my mind. So it was to me more of just like a dream world in terms of, it sounds silly, but just the way that workplace looked and smelled. And also it sounded so interesting to me that there are people out there who really know what's on a piece of paper and how to read that and interpret that and how to create something that's not on the shelf. And all of that science behind it was so interesting to me. I was always as a kid interested in just looking at the clouds and seeing how they move. And I would ask my parents, like, why are they moving in the sky? Or when my grandma, we used to bake a lot together. So I was looking at her pastries and I'm like, why are they rising in the oven? So I didn't know what science was, but early on I had all these questions for my parents and grandparents. And so I think it was just a curiosity. And I think that's been driving me through. And that's why I think I was more drawn towards research, because it's more problem solving than being in the pharmacy. To being in retail, at least to me, sounded more like a monotone work. You sort of do the same thing every day. It's huge responsibility. It's a great profession. To me personally, I needed a little bit more challenge. So I think that's why I did what I did. I went through the pathways that I went through. And so in Hungary, to really become more knowledgeable about medications, you typically go through the pathway of becoming a pharmacist and then getting a PhD. We did not have bachelor's degrees back then. I don't believe in pharmacy we do today. So it's a very typical pathway. And when my students ask me here, they're like, do I have to do the same thing? I'm like, oh, no. Here, their education works very differently. You have bachelor's degrees, and obviously we offer something that's not been offered for a long time. And now that we offer both undergrad and you mentioned the master's, we have both types of education, and we are the first in the United States and the only in the United States to have both undergraduate and graduate education in cosmetic science. So that's very exciting to have arrived to this milestone, because I have been around from the beginning, and also just to see this happen, be part of it. I really enjoy educating students.
Your passion shows. Yes, your passion shows. And I could just imagine you as a little girl going into the pharmacy and seeing all of this. And now you are teaching this to students. And that's very, very exciting. I've always loved, I have a passion also for formulations. I think Metaxia does too at the same time. We enjoy seeing something put together and seeing it work. And even the fact that what is an emulsion and why is it important in skincare? And I would love for people to understand what an emulsion is.
So emulsions are so common, and that's more of a technical term, I would say, for all your lotions and creams out there. And honestly, today, a lot of the serums that you see, serum is more of a recent from the last 10 years. We call these product forms. Lotions and creams are essentially very similar. They usually differ in their viscosity. So lotions tend to be thinner. They are easier to pour and spread, and creams tend to be thicker. And doesn't mean they are harder to spread, but they hold their shape better. And so why we like them as formulators is because emulsions are made of oil and water, and typically those two things don't mix. As you ever try to clean your greasy dishes at home with just water, not gonna work. You need something to make it remove. So in cosmetic science, we use special ingredients called emulsifiers that are part of surfactants that are able to create these little bridges between the oil and the water phase and emulsify one phase in the other, keeping them peacefully together for a little while. And that little while hopefully is a few years from production to the end of the shelf life until consumers can purchase the product and use up the product. And the reason why we like these products is because a lot of cosmetic active ingredients like niacinamide, vitamin C, retinol, a lot of them don't dissolve in the same phase. For example, most vitamin C types are water soluble, but for example, retinol and like molecules or its compounds or similar retinol-like ingredients are more liposoluble. So emulsions essentially allow us to mix ingredients that typically don't mix. We can put them in two phases and then still create one whole product that has all the ingredients in it. And a lot of times we like water-soluble ingredients because they feel different on the skin. They're easier to rinse off as well because they rinse off with water easier. But then a lot of ingredients that are great skin conditioners and moisturizers are oil soluble. But if you've ever tried to put even just coconut oil on your skin, it doesn't feel great. Your skin stays sticky afterwards. You touch any paper, you leave stains behind. So nobody likes that. Right. But by us creating emulsions, we can combine the good water and oil soluble ingredients into one product, and it feels great. It feels great to apply. Your skin feels great once it absorbs, and it's also easy to remove, unlike the liposoluble ingredients themselves. So we like them as formulators because it enables us to mix ingredients that normally don't mix, and consumers like them because of what they feel like. There are a lot of different versions of lotions and creams, and that's something that we teach in the classroom as well, how you can create different textures. The cosmetic industry I usually describe is a luxury industry because we don't really need cosmetic products for survival. I would argue that drug products you do. If somebody has hypertension, you need to take your medication. When it comes to medications, there is not a choice a lot of times. But when it comes to cosmetic products, a lot of times we intentionally make the choice to purchase and use those products, but that makes it a luxury industry. And when it comes to this industry, we want to cater to customers and we want to create something that they all like. And that's why we have so many different types of moisturizers. We usually discuss it with my students. Why do we need, when you look at just facial moisturizers for oily skin, there are at least 30 brands out there that you can pick from. There are so many product forms. Even if you just look at lotions, they feel so different. Some of them are jellier, some of them are more creamy. And so why? Because we just want to make sure that we are catering everything to the consumer. And it's different in different industries. You don't see this in pharmaceuticals. When it comes to, a skin cream or a dermatological product for eczema, they really narrow focus on efficacy and safety, and consumer, or in that case patient experience, is not as important. You will use the product no matter what because you have a condition you are trying to treat. When it comes to cosmetics, you just have options. You don't like one product, you go to the next one. And so emulsions really allow us to make small tweaks and create different textures, from very lotiony to very rich and creamy to more gel-like. I think this gel cream consistency also came in the last 10 years, where a product looks like a lotion, but when you put it on, it more feels like a cream on the skin. So it's something that's very versatile. But I would say, as a scientist who teaches how to formulate them, they are really challenging a lot of times to create and keep stable, because the ingredients, like I said, oil and water don't mix. So if we do a good job, we can keep them together for a while, but eventually they want to come apart.
Split.
So there's a lot of science going into how to stabilize, how to create, and also how to make something that works well with the packaging to create that full experience for the consumer.
Tell me how a simple definition would be for our consumers. What's the difference between emulsions and emulsifiers?
So emulsion is the product form that you pump out
Right.
of the container at the end. An emulsion has the oil phase, the water phase, and the emulsifier mixed in.
Together.
And the emulsifier is just one component of that cream that kind of holds everything together.
Perfect.
Well, here's my other question too. One of the things that we hear a lot now is are the terms like natural and organic. What's kind of the misconception behind these terms?
I think what's misleading is that we don't really have an official definition from the FDA. The FDA is the Food and Drug Administration that oversees not only cosmetic products, but also medical devices, drug products, and foods. And so we don't have an official definition for natural. So it could mean many different things when it comes to different brands. I have to say that there are organizations that certify for natural products, and they have their own definitions. So if you want to be whatever company's certified natural product, you will go with their definition. But even those definitions don't necessarily match up. When it comes to organic, so that's a little bit different. I think consumers might have seen organic carrots at your favorite grocery store. When you go around, you see the USDA label a lot of times, which is the U.S. Department of Agriculture. That seal can only be applied and used on products that meet the expectations of USDA, which are very strict. And so it means how you were planting those vegetables or fruits or whatever you're dealing with, how you were growing them and harvesting them, the processes that you were using, the ingredients that you were using, all of that. It is really hard for a cosmetic product to be organic, USDA organic certified, just because of how the definition is set up. There are other organic certifications for cosmetic products. It's just harder to meet. And these are voluntary. So a lot of products could be made in a more natural way, but the company may not decide to certify it for natural or organic. So I think that's misleading. Consumers may think that only the certified products are organic, and truly they meet a certain definition. But when it comes to natural, we don't really know what that means. If
Yep.
companies can say natural even without a certification, and we don't really know what they meant by that. So I think that just makes it a little bit confusing for consumers to move from brand to brand and try to compare. I think it's so important to know that the source of an ingredient does not tell you whether something is safe or not. So I think consumers have that misconception that if it's natural, it's coming from nature, it is safe. But look around, there are venoms out there, from snakes, or even just like eating apricot seeds or apple seeds that have certain chemicals that if you eat too much of, then it could be lethal. So I think it's so important for consumers to know that it's not the source of a chemical or an ingredient. It's really the dose. Water could be dangerous if you drink too much of it. Salt could be dangerous if you overconsume, but we also need some of that. And I think it's often overlooked how much you are being exposed to. So I think instead of focusing on the source, focusing on how much is so much more important. I also have to say that as a consumer, you don't have that information. You just have to put your faith in the companies that are making your products, that they knew how much they were supposed to use. They're using the safe amounts of ingredients. But I think it's focus on that and put your faith and just trust the brands that you're using better than being worried about if something is certified as natural necessary. So it's just something I wanted to add because I being asked about this so often, and I think it's so essential to understand.
I appreciate that because they look at natural and they forget preservatives are very, very important. Good preservatives are important in a product.
You have obviously have so much information that you have shared with us today, and you share so much with your students. But another way that people can get information is through a textbook that you wrote on cosmetic science. Can you tell us about the textbook and what inspired you to write it?
Oh, absolutely. So when I started working here at the University of Toledo, I was told that my job was to develop the courses that I would teach. And so I was like, great. So what are we teaching in Intro to Cosmetic Science? They were like, well, that's your job. And I was like, wait a second. So I've given nothing essentially, it's just the course name. And being the first and only in the United States, I kind of went after master's programs to kind of see what content is being taught in cosmetic science. These were very specific cosmetic science courses that I was about to teach. And then I looked at job descriptions. And then I looked at the FDA has a great resource for consumers and professionals, other government websites, the American Dermatology Association. So they all have great resources. So I kind of started combing together. I had my topics in my head, and then I started organizing the content, how it made sense to me to teach it, the order, the details. And so I just sort of gathered so much information. One of my colleagues was suggesting for me to submit it for a book. And I was like, very experienced people write books. Like, why would I do that? And then so we ended up submitting it to Wiley. Wiley did not have a cosmetic science textbook at the time. And so I made the case that I think it's missing from their library. And they got back with me within a day that they were interested. And so that was the first edition. And then I worked on a second edition. I was the single author. So the second edition is something that I worked alone. And so it's an expanded version. It has more chapters. It has the revised content. And it also comes with a test bank that readers can download to kind of check their knowledge. I intentionally made that book a textbook. So it starts with learning objectives at the beginning, that by the time you read through this chapter, you should be able to answer these questions. Then it has some key terms that everybody should know. And then it also has a glossary of terms, some abbreviations and acronyms at the end, and then the test bank. So it's really structured as a college textbook. And it was meant to sort of bridge the gap between high school knowledge and coming into a college level course where we sort of dive deeper into the science. And to bridge that, a lot of times students are missing the vocabulary. What's an emulsifier? What did you just say? What is that? And so even in chemistry courses, we may not learn all the words that we use in cosmetic science. So it was really meant to sort of help students transition into this industry. So I hope it's a great resource for those who are reading and are educating themselves about everything cosmetic science. It has everything that is personal care or makeup or cosmetic science. So
today's professional and today's consumer are always looking for knowledge. We are on information overload around the world. So we are always looking for this type of information. So even the fact that we can explain what the book shows and what you've written, we are very excited to make sure that all the professionals, at least the professionals and their clients, will be able to read it and understand all the work that goes into all these formulations.
So where can people find it? The book's called Introduction to Cosmetic Formulation and Technology. Where can people purchase the book if they're interested? It is beautiful.
There it is.
We're buying
already
some.
got it
We're
on
buying
order.
some. We're buying some. Did you order them already, Anna?
I have them on order.
All right.
I did.
All right. I want my own copy.
These icons I designed myself. I created myself. And so this was the only part that was a stock image. Wiley's website sells the book. I believe in a hard copy and also in digital version if somebody likes reading it digital. But I think there are a lot of places where consumers or readers can get it, starting from Amazon to Barnes and Noble to I've seen it all over the place. So I don't think it's that difficult to get. So it's only the second edition that Wiley publishes. At this point, I think they stopped the production for the first edition once the second came out. And so I would recommend if anybody is interested.
Could you say the title so everybody can see it?
This is what I would recommend getting because this is the updated, expanded version.
Cosmetic formulations. This is the one thing everybody does today. They get a product, they turn it over, and we looked right down the list to see what's in it, see what preservatives they have, what ingredients they have. So it's so important to know what you're looking for. And so we appreciate you putting this information out for us. So thank you very, very much. I'm very excited to read it and see all the things that I need to know about, all the things I need to keep learning about.
What you did for me is you made it simple, but advanced and professional. I mean, you're talking to us as professionals, but you're also talking to the consumer. It is an educational opportunity for us to learn more because we're looking at social media only, but you are definitely a professor in this.
That's right.
Your passion is that. Your textbook is valuable for everyone to get their hands on it. So again, for us, bringing you to our podcast, I'm just hoping everybody will take advantage of your expertise in this field because we don't see it. We don't see it that often. And to have a find in you, and thank you, Anna, for finding such a beautiful, well-educated, fantastic person. I think Lyra wants to continue relationship with you because
we would like a little more communication.
Thank you so much. You're so kind.
I know. I mean, you definitely are inspirational.
We believe very strongly that education is so very, very important, especially when you're using the right skincare. And as you said, SPF. Know which one works. Know how to use a product because this is when you're going to get results. So when we're able to break it down as you're doing right now and you're explaining, as Metaxia said, you made a complicated subject easy to understand. And that's a talent. So we really appreciate you explaining it in a way that it's easy for everyone to understand.
And, I got to tell you right now, in a world where you are filled with technology and a lot of conflicting information on social media, and it's all about what goes viral, not necessarily what's correct. So information is power, and having this information and it's proven information is so important in this world right now. So definitely everybody should check it out. But before we go, also one of the other things I want to ask you about is your role with the Society of Cosmetic Chemists. And you also do webinars and courses with them. Can you tell us where people can find information, how they can find out about your courses?
So the Society of Cosmetic Chemists is truly the only professional society for those who work in the cosmetic industry and work in academia teaching students, or those who inspire to work in the cosmetic industry. So our students, for example, students at this time, or undergraduate students in the United States get free membership through the SEC as long as they're undergrads, which I think is fantastic. And through your membership, you get discounts for webinars or in-person meetings. You have access to the library, which is so invaluable. So, and the SEC started doing a certificate program as well. So you can attend 3 courses, I believe, that gives you a certificate. They also do standalone webinars that if somebody's interested in just doing a webinar, they can do one of those. So you refer to the course. So we are teaching a course about the sensory testing of cosmetic emulsions. So cosmetic emulsions, we talked about these, the lotions and the creams. And I talked about how it's a luxury industry. It's all about the experience. And so the biggest selling point of any cosmetic product is what it feels like on the skin, period. And it's so important that companies understand that they really have to create products that give that great experience to the consumers, but they only really have about 30 to 60 seconds to convince the consumer that this is the product. So, today, like you mentioned, everybody's on social media. When you want to buy a new product, you kind of do some research on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. You see what others had to say about this. But when you physically go to the store and you check out your top two, you're going to smell it, open the container, and put it on. It doesn't matter how great it is, what sun protection it gives you, how it, starts working, eliminating or really reducing the appearance of your wrinkles. It's about that initial sensory aspect. And so we are teaching the course on how to change that sensory aspect and cater that to your consumer, but also how to test it. I don't think consumers understand how much testing goes into the skin feel of products, not only in cosmetics, but in foods and beverages. When your cookies have the right crunch, or when your yogurt has the just right consistency, that's through vigorous clinical testing and consumer testing. And so we taught a course, the lecture portion was taught a couple weeks ago, and then in New York next week we're teaching the hands-on portion. So for example, this is a hybrid course that consumers or anybody who's interested, professionals, can sign up for. You listen to the lecture online and then you come and do some hands-on learning with us. They do a lot of just online education as well, which I think is very convenient for most consumers. So
it is, and we are members, and we do take your courses, and this is how we found you. So we're very excited to have you with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Baki. We make sure you can check out the incredible courses and webinars that are offered through the Society of Cosmetic Chemists website. You can see Dr. Baki's courses there as well. Just go to scconline.org. And you can also find her book. Again, it's Introduction to Cosmetic Formulation and Technology by Dr. Gabriella Baki. Thank you so much, Dr. Baki, for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it. A wealth of information. We'll definitely have you back on the show.
Thank you so much.